will go on sale for our January 5th special event, which is live at Emmett Cohen's place here in Miami. This will be a Thursday night event at the Thesis Hotel. Some of you may remember that we had it on our schedule last January, the night before the Jazz Cruise left, and we had to cancel because the Jazz Cruise got canceled because of COVID. But we've got an amazing lineup of internationally known musicians coming to the Thesis Hotel on January 5th. And this is going to be hosted by Emmett Cohen. And I'm sure I'm going to forget some people who are performing on January 5th. But we're going to have Emmett's trio, which is now Yashamari. I'm forgetting his last name. His new bass player, Kyle Poole, is drummer. We're also going to have Shelley Berg, Ken Poplowski, one of the great clarinetists in the jazz world, Wycliffe Gordon, James Morrison from Australia, Tierney Sutton on vocals, Lewis Nash on drums, and I think I'm forgetting somebody. It's just there's not a jazz club in New York where you could go to and hear this lineup of musicians or a comparable lineup on any one night. It's going to be a great event. Tickets go on sale at midnight Wednesday night, December 1st. And you can go to Miami on Wednesday night. You'll be able to go to the Miami Jazz Cooperative website, miamijazz.org, and there will be a banner up on top. You can click on it, and it will take you to the ticketing page for this Live at Emmett's Place here in Miami. So we hope that you will come, that you will tell your friends. It's going to be truly a night to remember in the annals of jazz here in Miami. Tonight is one of these nights that is like that. In 2015, we had the idea of putting together our very first summit. And I don't even remember how we decided to call it a guitar summit, make it a guitar summit, but we did. And we turned to Tom Lippincott and asked him if he would be willing to pull together the first MJC summit. And he did in 2015. It was a phenomenal success musically, in terms of audience enjoyment of it. And subsequent to that, we did a bunch of summits: saxophone summit, trumpet summit, a piano summit. I'm not sure what else that we did, but the guitar summit is the one that has been repeated, not 2 times, not 3 times. Tonight is Guitar Summit number 4, and that is because of the popularity of these incredible lineup of musicians, guitarists that Tom pulls together for each one of these summits. Tom's stewardship has become the template for what we do with all the summits. And if the audience response tonight is what we've had in the past, we'll repeat it with some other summits later in the season. But tonight, I want you to enjoy Guitar Summit 4. And with that, let me bring out Tom Lippincott, who is our host for the evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Lippincott, in case you hadn't figured that out. So how many of you have been to one of these summits before? Okay, so you kind of know what this is all about. For the rest of you, you'll just kind of have to figure it out. So one thing that occurred to me today, I was thinking about what I was going to say, and I realized that when I was a young guy in college back in the 1980s, guitar, in terms of jazz, was not a hip instrument. Sure, if you played rock, Jimi Hendrix and Eddie Van Halen, all those guys, they were super cool. And that's why I started playing guitar, because that was really cool. And then when I got into jazz school, all of a sudden, guitar wasn't cool. It was only cool if you were a sax player or a piano player, trumpet player, upright bass player, drummer, but guitar, yeah, it was kind of like this. They can't read music, they play too loud, they're, head-banging rockers. And in the last 20 or 30 years, I've seen that really change. Now, I feel like I'm living in a real golden era of jazz guitar, because guitar has really come into its own in jazz. Now, if you go to New York City, the mecca of jazz, and go to any jazz club, I would bet that you'd be equally as likely to see a guitar player as the chord instrument in the band as a piano player, or at least both of them. And that's really cool to me. There's just so much great stuff going on in the guitar world these days. And Miami is no exception. I'm also feel very lucky to live in this city with all these great guitar players and great people. I was just enjoying getting to hang out with some of them before the summit started and saying, when does this ever happen that we all get to kind of be in the same room at the same time? So that's sort of my little secret of why I like to do this stuff. But anyway, I'm going to, without further ado, I'll bring up the first guitar player. This is a friend of mine that I've known for a long time now, dear friend, and we teach at Broward College together, and we've done a bunch of gigs together in the past, and I always really enjoy playing with him, and I always enjoy his playing. This is Fernando Ulibarri. And Fernando is not going to be playing by himself. We're also going to bring on a bassist, Mr. Marty Quinn, and on drums, Max Marsillo.
Thank you very much, Max, Marty. Thanks, Tom, for putting this together. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Fernando. That was I Hear a Rhapsody, if I'm not mistaken. Who was that by? I forget. It was by Fernando Ulibarri. No. All right. I'm going to bring up the next contestant. This one hails from Walla Walla, Washington. Hopes to be a model.
No more hoping.
And I believe Aaron told me that he's going to play All of You by Cole Porter. Is that correct? That is correct. Gentlemen, proceed.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean not to give Marty a solo.
In all the excitement, I forgot to mention that's Aaron Lebos. All right, I'd like to continue by bringing a couple of people up to the stage now. One of them is one of my favorite guitar players around, and I believe he's backstage right now. But the other one was my guitar teacher when I was at the University of Miami. And he's been a tremendously important figure in the world of jazz guitar, specifically South Florida and Miami. And I think, you know, many of us owe this gentleman a world of debt for all that we've learned from him and the role model that he's been. This first gentleman right here that's setting up that I mentioned earlier is Tim Jago. And the next gentleman, which I have alluded to here, is Mr. Randall Dollahon. Those of you who've been to one of these guitar summits before know that we get a little informal since it takes a little bit of time to get everything resituated and plugged in and so forth. So if you'll bear with us, I'll play some on hold music for you. Or maybe not. I should mention, or I will mention, that Tim Jago and I both kind of share a particular link to Randall. We both were teaching assistants under him during his tenure at University of Miami. I was his teaching assistant from 1988 to 1990. And Tim, when were you teaching assistant?
2010, August.
2010.
Until retirement.
Until, right. You were his last TA. So what are you going to play for us?
My Romance. Old standard. I don't know who wrote it.
Rodgers and Hart, I think. So they're going to play the Rodgers and Hart tune, My Romance. And I'll...
Or if you're from Texas, My Romance.
My Romance at the theater.
change of players. Nice to see everybody. I don't get out and play much anymore. Glad to be here.
Right, sounds like I got sound. So I don't have a mic on me, but can everybody hear me? So I couldn't let Tim have all the fun. I wanted to get to play a tune with Randall as well. And we've decided to do actually another Rodgers and Hart song, right? It's Have You Met Miss Jones? Want me to set it up?
Yeah. Medium up.
Okay. Dollahon, ladies and gentlemen. All right. In the spirit of guitar duos, I thought I'd ask Tim to play a tune with me. Or actually, maybe he said something about it. But anyway, I've been wanting to play with this guy forever, and it's just never worked out. So what you will hear are the first notes that he and I have ever played together. So again, Tim Jago on guitar. And I also wanted to mention a little something about this tune that we're going to do. This is a song by Steve Swallow called Falling Grace that some of you might be familiar with, or maybe not. But the reason I chose this song in particular is it was a very special song to a really important shining light of the guitar world who, unfortunately, we just lost not even 2 weeks ago. A gentleman by the name of Mick Goodrick. Remember what I said earlier about how guitar has become cool? I personally think that Mick Goodrick is largely responsible for that fact. While he is known as a player, he played with some pretty well-known people like Gary Burton, Jack DeJohnette, Charlie Hayden, but also was really well-known as a teacher and was a huge inspiration to a legion of guitar players, most of which are now famous, successful guitar players whose style kind of came from Mick Goodrick in a lot of ways. So I really feel like just about every jazz guitar player operating today kind of owes a big debt to Mick Goodrick. And I personally feel like he was just a hugely momentously important to me. I took one lesson with him, and it changed my whole life. So this is for Mick Goodrick. Well, Tim, I hope we get to play again. So do I. That was beautiful. And to end this set, I would like to bring up another longtime friend. Actually, I think aside from Randall, this next guy I've known the longest here, because he was Randall's teaching assistant right after me, and I believe we met then. This gentleman, who I'm sure many of you probably will already know, has been a fixture in South Florida, and he's a great jazz player who, in the last few years, kind of made a specialty of learning the style of West Montgomery, but he's also a great pop and rock player, and he kind of does all the gigs all over the place with everybody.
Yeah, I wish. Give me a gig, like Jago said.
Anyway, without further ado, this is Lindsey Blair. And I'll take while Lindsey's getting his cable untangled, I'll get my guitar off stage. So we'll kind of coordinate here.
Does the mic work?
Yeah, if you'd like.
Does this work? Yeah. Yeah, it was really inspiring for me to see all the guys play. I mean, these are all, I draw so much inspiration from just hearing that from everybody else that, I'm going to go home and shed for like 3-4 weeks. But man, just such incredible talent here. Great to see Randall again. It's wonderful to see Randall. I learned so much from him. I would say he forged my direction as a musician, probably more than anybody else that I know. So kudos to Randall. I also got to say, I used to come here when I very first got to Miami. This is a very special building to me because when I very first got to Miami, this was the place where I would see Ira Sullivan play every Friday night. And there was no chairs, there was no tables out there. We all sat on the floor, and a bunch of hippies were dancing around. And it was, Tony Castellano playing piano, Steve Bagby playing drums, and then Joe DiOrio playing guitar. And Joe would just tear the roof, and all of them would just tear the roof off this place every Friday. And they would start playing, and sometimes I swear they would play for 2 hours and never stop. And it would just go from one thing into the next, and seamless transition from one. It was magical, really. Unbelievable. So this is a very special building to me. You want to play the fast one or the medium? Clockwise? Huh? Clockwise? Okay. We're going to play the fast one. Nikki, you're off the hook. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Lindsey, Blair. Let's give it up for our rhythm section. Marty Quinn on bass. And playing the Drubin drums, Max Marsillo. So we're going to be back with a whole nother set of guitar players. Please, please stick around. And I do want to tell you what we've got coming up here the next couple of weeks. I told you about January 5th, the Live from Emmett's Place here in Miami. Next week, we've got great saxophone player, great tenor player. Tom McCormick will be here with his combo. 2 weeks from tonight, the unbelievable, if you haven't heard him, you need to be here to experience him for the first time. If you have heard him, you'll be here. Leonard Rutledge will be here on stage 2 weeks from tonight. 3 weeks from tonight, we've got our gala holiday party with a lineup of musicians that Wendy Peterson and Nick Yorda have put together. It's just going to boggle your mind. And we're going to have a great time with holiday music here on December 19th. Wendy Peterson, Nick Yorda will be hosting, and there will be some real surprises, I promise you. So that's what's coming up the next few weeks. We will be off the night after Christmas, December 26th. We'll be back and start 2023 on Monday, January 2nd. Great lineup over the next month. Please come on out. Please tell your friends. We need to keep building this audience to keep this sustainable. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back in 10 minutes with the second half of Guitar Summit.
Well, we're kind of getting reacclimated for the second set. I have one, I swore that I would never sink to prop comedy, but I do have one thing that I want to do. Well, I just figured that since we've got so many guitar players in the same place at the same time, we can finally settle that age-old question of how many guitar players does it take to screw in a light bulb? I need the drums. Right. I'm not going to leave that there because that would be bad. Okay. Well, if everybody's pretty much settled in, I think I'd like to kind of get the second set started. And I'm sure I'm going to badly mangle the pronunciation of his name, but this next gentleman is an amazing Brazilian guitarist, and he also shares the distinction of being the only other guitar player besides me who has the gall to play more than 6 strings. This guy, is he around somewhere? All right, I'd like to bring up to the stage Mr. Ramatis Moraes.
Hey guys, good evening. First of all, I want to thank so much for my MJC cooperative to call me for this awesome show. You know, I think I don't deserve to be here, but I'm listening for the the high class of guitar players, and this inspires me a lot. So I'm from Brazil, so I prepared to you guys today. Is a medley of my inspiration of my life to play guitar. His name is Baden Powell, and he was the guy that changed the way they play guitar in Brazil, because we are very, very poor country. So in the radio station, we don't have an orchestra to play. We have one guitar, one pandeiro. You know, that's it. So, and I have the teacher when I was a kid that says, you need to make people dance with just one guitar. This is an orchestra. I try. I'm not saying, okay? Let me see if it's in tune because it's too cold over here. For the guitar, yeah? Check, check. Hey. So it's going to be 4 songs for Baden Powell, and that a record that I received from my father. I was 6 years old, and I decided to be guitar player after those songs. Thank you very much.
Again, mispronouncing his name. Ramatis Moraes. All right, next I'd like to bring up revisiting one of the players who played earlier, Tim Jago, but also he's going to be playing with a really amazing guitar player that I've had the pleasure of hearing a bunch of times, and he's the guitar teacher at University of Miami. He's the successor to Randall Dollahon. This is John Hart. And John, what tune are you going to play?
I don't know yet.
Okay. It's a song called I Don't Know Yet.
Which key? I think so. Yeah, I used that one before.
Should we play some blues? Have to tune up after that little flurry. Tim Jago. I went to school. I was going to play solo tonight, and then I saw Tim. He was like, man, I wanted to play a tune with you with the rhythm section. So it's fun. Thank you.
I do have one question for John. Who hurt you? That was great, wasn't it? All right, now for something completely different. I'd like to bring up a guitarist who is somewhat new to the area, although he grew up here, but he spent quite a bit of time in New York, and I think he just recently moved down here within the last year or two. If Richard Padron is in the house, you bring him out. Richard, I don't know if you would even remember this, but years ago, you and I actually did do a gig together.
Is this true?
So you do remember?
How long ago was this?
10 years ago, maybe? No, you've probably been gone for longer than that.
Yeah.
So 15 years ago, maybe.
I've been gone for 20 years. You sure it was me?
I'm pretty sure it was you. Okay, Bobby Thomas was going to put together a band, and he got a bunch of players to play at this benefit thing, and there were no tunes. He just he called a bunch of musicians, and we all showed up, and I'm almost positive that was you. You were there.
Well, between the two of us, we're half positive that
So the long and short of it is, I think that we have played together before. Anyway, Richard recently did a show on WDNA, solo guitar, and I was really blown away by it. And I asked him to play on the summit tonight, and I didn't specify, what instrumentation or anything, but I was kind of secretly hoping that he would do something solo, and sure enough, he is. So here he is, Richard Padron.
Actually, it's actually quite an honor to be here. First of all, Jim Gager, he was my high school music teacher, essentially. And all of these wonderful guitar player, incredibly talented friends that are here that I've known for such a long time. And it's a really good feeling. And also, I actually auditioned. I don't know that Randall would remember me, but I did audition for U of M. And I've been back since February from New York, so anyway, I'll probably announce the tunes afterward, but hope you guys enjoy.
technical difficulties. This amp I brought now doesn't work. You want to plug into this? No. Why wouldn't it work? Some kind of concentration on the cable here.
Some technical difficulties. I'm afraid I already used up my light bulb joke. Anybody got any other ones? How many guitar players does it take? No. Everybody knows the one, how do you get a guitar player to turn down, right?
Too many cables up here, it all got crossed, plugging into someone else's amp.
How do you make $1 million in a jazz club? Okay, yeah, Lindsey told me this one. Well, that's one answer, but the real answer is you let everybody in for free and then you charge $100 to leave.
It's alive.
All right, I think we're good to go.
So that was an arrangement of Garota de Ipanema by Antonio Carlos Jobim and Gingy. I could keep on going, but that's it. Thank you so much.
It's Richard Padron. All right, now we're going to bring the trio back up. We had a guitar with 8 strings and a guitar with 7 strings. Now we've got a guitar with the head chopped off. All right, well, while we're getting reconfigured here, let me introduce the next contestant. We have a gentleman who also has a New York connection, but he's been down in South Florida for a while longer. I think maybe 8 or 10 years now. I'm not sure. Maybe not quite that long. How long have you been in South Florida now, Russ? 9 years now. 9 years, okay. So I wasn't that far off. Anyway, please welcome, give a nice Miami warm welcome to Russ Spiegel. And what are you going to be playing for us, Russ?
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Russ.
How's it
What's
going?
up?
And they say size doesn't matter. So we're going to keep it in the Brazilian vein. I guess this is the Brazilian blues set, in case you were wondering. But I wanted to give it up because, first of all, I think Richard had said, and the funny thing was, the radio show he was talking about was the radio show I do for FIU on WDNA, which this gentleman actually started, Ed Blanco, was it 5, 6 years ago? 6 years ago. But I want to say that it's really humbling to hear all these amazing musicians. So it's, to be part of it is really cool. And I didn't realize there was so much comedic humor, comedic talent in the guitar world here in Miami. So Tom's doing a great job. Anyways, I'm going to shut up and play some music.
Russ Spiegel. I believe that was the famous Brazilian composer Benny Golson. That was Along Came Betty, right? What's Betty in Portuguese? Betty. All right. I have another trio to bring up. This is another longtime friend of mine. And over the years, this guy is a teacher here in town, and I have lost count of the number of amazing students that I've gotten after studying with this guy. So
giving them to you is a joy, Tom. Thank you very much for being where you are.
Thank you for being who you are. This is Alvaro Bermudez.
This is my adopted city, Miami. Thank you. I have my friends and my mentors here. Lindsey, Blair met me when I was a child. I didn't know what was going on. I was 22. Thank you very much for everything, man. I think about you every day. And this is Stardust. My wife likes this song. She didn't come, but I know she likes it. So Stardust by Hoagie Carmichael. Enjoy. Thank you, Marty and Max. Thank you all. Have a nice evening, all right? It was great. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Al. Alvaro told me that he was listening to Johnny Smith on the way over here, and I think Johnny Smith would have been proud. All right, well, I'd like to say once again that I'm really proud and honored to be part of this great jazz guitar community in South Florida. It's amazing guitar players, right? And I don't know of any other instrument that has so much variety, you know, within this, even like this genre of jazz. You know, we've heard so many different approaches and styles, numbers of strings. So it's pretty cool. Anyway, we've got one more player, one more contestant, and then we'll have the swimsuit part of the competition. This next player is somebody that I've actually never heard play in person. I've only heard on YouTube and other social media outlets, but he's a great player. Admired his playing for a while. He's another New York transplant that I think came down here to go to school and has stayed with us. Aaron Lebos came up to me a few minutes ago and said the new guitar player joke is going to be, how many guitar players does it take to plug in? I guess we are kind of figuring out one logistical problem for next time. Sure.
Thank you for bearing with me.
That's not good. That is good. All right, this is Greg Diamond. And Greg, do you want to introduce your tune?
Sorry, it's kind of nerve-wracking dealing with all these logistics here. Wow, this has really been such a pleasure sharing this, partaking in this event. Most of these guitarists are, I know on a, with the exception of Randall, who I've never met. It was really inspiring to hear him play. I heard so many great things about him. But I'm in the presence of my esteemed cohorts and friends and mentors. Yeah, this has been, it's like a beautiful experience. And thank you all. You're all still here. After all this guitar, you're still here. I think you've all had your fill by now, I hope. Yeah, I'm gonna play an original of mine. I recorded this with my band a few years ago. I also did a solo version. So it's called Laia. That's it. Here it goes.
Great diamond. And let's hear it for Rick Katz and the Miami Jazz Cooperative for making this possible. Thanks, Rick.
Let's give it up. Tom Lippincott, who pulled all this together tonight. The truth is, if I had tried to do this, I would have invited all the guitarists and nobody would have showed up. Tom asked them to come. They all come and they give you their A game. Tom, thank you very much. Next week, we're actually going to have a saxophone player here. This is a jazz club. What can I tell you? Tom McCormick will be here. Great tenor saxophonist. 2 weeks from tonight, Leonard Rutledge. 3 weeks from tonight, the MJC holiday party, hosted by Wendy and Nikki. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you coming out.